So yesterday we have seen about a brief introduction to WebDriver, and then we studied about what exactly a WebDriver is. So WebDriver is an interface, various classes like Firefox driver, IE driver, Chrome driver implemented this interface. Various classes implemented this particular interface. Fine. So the point out over here is, in order to access all the WebDriver methods, the syntax which we need to follow is WebDriver space driver is equal to new Firefox driver. WebDriver space driver is equal to new Firefox driver is the syntax which we need to follow. And another point over here is basically WebDriver supports only Firefox and HTML unit driver. So HTML unit driver means running the scripts in the invisible modes. Okay, using this HTML unit driver, we can run our test scripts in the invisible modes. Okay, and then what are all the basic comparisons between RC and a WebDriver? So the basic comparisons between RC and a WebDriver are, as you know that RC will interact with the server first and then with the browser. Hence, the speed of execution in a WebDriver is faster than Selenium RC. And even in RC, we don't have any kind of actions class concept. What exactly the significance of an actions class means? Using this actions class, we can perform any kind of UI operations. Okay, using this actions class, we can perform any kind of UI operations. Whatever the UI operation might be, we can perform using this actions class. Okay, that's fine. So the another point what we need to consider over here is basically whenever you are trying to execute your test script in RC, two different browsers got open and it got executed on a browser. Whereas in a WebDriver, whenever you are trying to execute the script, only one browser will be opened, and even in RC, we need to write down separate commands to launch a browser. Whereas in a WebDriver, we no need to write any separate commands to launch a browser. Automatically the browser will be launched by my WebDriver itself. And then moving on over here, in Selenium RC, to perform any action, the command we used is selenium dot action. Within the braces, we need to specify the locators. Example is selenium dot click command. Specify the locator for that click command. So the same way here also, in WebDriver, what we are gonna do over here means driver dot find elements. So here we are asking our WebDriver to identify an object by its ID property dot desired action, and then we can identify the same object with its class name. We can identify the same object with its CSS, and then we can identify its by its XPath, by its name property. We can identify by its link text and partial link text. So it means we can identify an object with any one of these properties. We can identify with any one of these properties. Fine. Fine. So we can identify object with any one of these properties. Okay. So we need to specify these kind of properties and we can perform the operations. So the conclusion point is, in order to perform operations on any object in the browser, we need to choose above syntax only. Okay, so we need to go for above syntax only. So that's the only option which we have to perform these operations. Okay, fine. So done up to here. And then the basic command-wise comparisons between RC and the WebDriver are, see, to open the application we used open command in RC, whereas in a WebDriver we will use a get command. In order to open an application we will use a get command in this particular WebDriver. Okay, and then in order to perform a type operation we used, okay, in order to perform a type operation we used a type command, which is an entering a value to a text field. We used a type command in RC, whereas in a WebDriver we are using a send keys command to enter a value. Okay, so we are using a send keys command to enter a value. Okay, and then in order to select a value from a drop down we used, okay, in order to select a value from a drop down we use a select command in RC, whereas in a WebDriver there are multiple options are there to select a value from a drop down. Here we can go for the same send keys command to select a value from a drop down. Okay, so it means we can use the same send keys command to select a value from a drop down and to enter a value into a text field. Okay, to perform these two we can use the same send keys command. And then the another point is in RC, to launch the browser, okay, in RC, in order to launch the browser we used selenium.start command to launch a browser. Moving on to WebDriver, we no need to write any, excuse me, we no need to write any separate commands to launch a browser. In order to close a browser we used selenium.close or stop. Here in a WebDriver also we are using driver.close and stop. So these are all the basic command-wise comparisons between RC and the WebDriver. The next one is configuration required to work on a WebDriver. What exactly the basic configuration required for us to work on a WebDriver? So the point is, The configuration required for RC and the WebDriver is almost one and the same. Okay, the configuration required for RC and the WebDriver is almost one and the same. Only basic difference is, okay, only the basic difference over here is for RC, Selenium server is required. For WebDriver, server is not required. Apart from that, everything is one and the same. We need an Eclipse editor to write our programs. We need Selenium Java client drivers, which are binding drivers. We need these binding drivers. We need these JUnit and as well as a JXL. So JUnit jar file to write down JUnit test cases, JXL jar file to perform data-driven testing. Fine. I hope you have already downloaded these files for your Selenium RC. Again, you no need to download this one. If you haven't downloaded this one, so the simple steps are open your browser, enter Eclipse editor free downloads. From the search results, click on the first link, which will be navigated to Eclipse downloads page. See, just click on it, download Eclipse editor. And then after that, I would like to download a Selenium Java client drivers. Hence, I navigated to Selenium official website, downloads the page. And here it contains a Selenium Java. The latest version is 3.0, which is a beta version. So we are not going to use the latest version for our testing. Okay, we are not going to use the latest version for our testing. The reason is basically whenever we are working on a latest versions, it is having some browser compatibility issues. Hence, we will go for the previous versions. So I selected the previous versions link and I navigated to 2.48. From here, I can select Selenium Java 2.48.2.zip. Download this one. Okay, so just download this one. And after that, I need to download JUnit. Simply type JUnit free download. Click on this download button. Automatically the JUnit will be downloaded. JXL free download. The same way the JXL will also be downloaded. And when you scroll down the page, here you can find the download button for this JXL jar file too. Okay, fine. Once after we have downloaded all these things, now add the jar files to Eclipse editor. Add the jar files to Eclipse editor. So here what I'm gonna do right now means, so I think we haven't created any project here for us. So I'm creating a new project for us. Here is the web. Clicking on a next button. Here you do have an option which is a library. Switch to this tab. Add external jar files. Navigate to Selenium Java folder. It contains these two jar files. And internally it has a libs folder which contains too many jar files. And then I added a JUnit and a JXL too. And finally I clicked on a finish. See here, there is a web got created here. And to this particular one, what I'm gonna do right now means I'm creating a new package, W scripts, which is a WebDriver script. So here we need to write down few of the basic test scripts in WebDriver. Prior that, I would like to show you one small documentation here. See, this document name is a general issues doc. See, it contains the various kinds of issues which we usually encounter whenever we are working on a WebDriver and the solutions to fix that particular issue too. Okay, it contains the issues and as well as the solutions as well. Okay, fine. So here the point is basically the first issue is whenever you are trying to launch a WebDriver, it is throwing this kind of an error message, then how to fix that issue. And whenever you are writing a WebDriver program, it is getting this kind of an issue, how to handle that. So here I just specified the various kinds of an issues along with the multiple solutions. Okay. I just specified these various kinds of an issues and as well as a multiple solutions in these general issues documentation, and I'm just uploading this document in this Google Driver folder. Okay, so to your Google Driver folder, I'm directly uploading these documents. Okay, so this will help for you, okay, to understand what exactly the various kinds of an issues we usually encounter and how to fix those issues. You people can simply understand that. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just adding this one. So this is the thing, and even I added this WebDriver documentation too. Fine. So done up to here. So the another point of what we need to do over here is, okay, so the another point of what exactly we need to do right now is go to the Eclipse editor, create a new class, and I am naming it as a web1. I'm selecting my main method now. So this is a WebDriver first basic scripts, where in which you know that we need to create an object to WebDriver, hence WebDriver space driver is equal to new Firefox driver. I just created an object to my Firefox driver. After that, import the required packages. Hence I am choosing Control plus Shift plus O to import the required packages. Okay, in order to import the required packages, we are going for Control plus Shift plus O. Okay, that's fine. Once after we imported the required packages, let me run this program. Run as a Java application. I'm just trying to execute it as a Java application. Okay, that's fine. Fine. It's getting executed. So whenever we specified this particular browser name, automatically your WebDriver will launch a browser. Whenever you specify just a browser name, automatically your WebDriver will launch a browser. See here, a new browser, plain new browser got launched which is in a minimized mode. I'm just terminating that. So over here, how come? WebDriver will launch the browser. The reason behind this one is, okay, so the reason behind this one is the Firefox driver class contains a default constructor. Okay, and that the constructor contains a code which will launch a browser. Okay, so Firefox driver class contains an constructor. Okay, Firefox driver class contains a constructor. Hence, upon creating an object to that class, upon creating an object to that particular class, automatically, okay, upon creating an object to that particular class, automatically browser will be launched by WebDriver. As you know that whenever you created an object to a particular class, the code present in a constructor will be executed first. Hence it will execute the same thing. Fine. Done up to here. So the another point of what we need to do right now is, fine, once after we specified all these information, the another basic thing what we people need to do right now is, okay, that's fine. We just specified the browser name, hence it will automatically launch a browser. To open an application, we can use a get command, driver.get, specify the application URL from the protocol, http bing.com. And one point what we need to remember is we need to terminate the browser at last. Once we are finished with our execution, we need to terminate the browser at last. Hence I can add a quit command at the end of my scripts. Okay, driver.quit command I can add to my scripts. The reason is we need to terminate the browser at last. Fine. While working on a WebDriver program, we need to terminate that particular browser too. Fine. So, the another point of what we need to do over here is, usually a simple question will rise in our mind, why we need to close the browser? What happens if we won't close the browser? Okay, what happens if we won't close that particular browser? Simply, the answer for this one is, okay, the answer for this one is, whenever WebDriver launches a browser, it will allocate some memory from our machine. After the execution, if we are not going to terminate the browser, means the memory won't be released back, because of which the system speed will be reduced. Hence, after the script execution was finished, make sure that you are terminating the browser instance, so that memory will be released and we can simply work on the programs without any issues. Fine. Done up to here. So the another point what I would like to do over here is open the app. The another point what we need to do right now is, after opening that particular application, I would like to enter a value to that bing.com text field. Where is the bing.com application? For that, the bing.com application. Okay, so for this bing.com, here is a text field. I would like to enter a value to this text field. Right click on that. Inspect the element with a firebug. And now it is having an ID property. Copy this. Go back here. Enter a value using ID property. Driver dot find element by dot ID dot send keys. I would like to enter Naveen into that field. That's it. And now it's a simple text field. Even I can enter the value with a class name also. Copy the class name, enter by class. So driver dot find element by dot class dot send keys C. And then the same object is having a name property. Driver dot find element by dot name dot send keys Ramya. And even we can enter by using XPath, enter by CSC property also. To get the XPath and CSC properties, what I am doing means, I'm just opening my Selenium IDE here. Okay, I'm just opening my Selenium IDE here. Right click on a search field, show all available commands, click on a assert element presence. Go back to WebDriver, a command got generated from the drop down, select this XPath. Copy the XPath, go back here, find element by dot XPath dot send keys Navya into that field. Driver dot find element by dot CSC. Get the CSC property from your IDE dot send keys Daya. So here CSC is one kind of an object property which is a cascade style seating. Okay, so in detail about XPath and a CSC, we are gonna study in web tables concepts. Probably in another next session or after 2 classes, we are gonna study about this information. Okay, so what exactly an XPath in detail about CSC, everything we are gonna study in our future classes. Fine, done up to here. Now, these are all the various kinds of properties, and you know at the end we need to terminate the browser, hence I terminated the browser. Run as a Java application. If you observe, it launched a browser, it opened a bing.com, but the only point is send keys is a command which will append the values. Send keys is a command which will simply append the values to a field. If existing value is there, for suppose if the text field contains a Suren, this is an existing value. Directly it will enter append another value. Like it will enter another value. But I don't want to enter append. After Suren, I would like to enter Jagannatham, like that individually I would like to enter. So what I can do means, I can use a clear commands. See here, clear, dot clear, which will clear the value from the field. See, after entering every value, I am asking my WebDriver to clear that particular field. I'm just leaving only after CSC. And after CSC, click on search button. Right click on a search, inspect element with a firebug. It is having an ID property. Copy this. Driver.find element by.id dot click. See, usually after the click, if at all you specify the terminate browser means it won't even wait for a second. Hence, I am using sleep command to stop the script for some time. So here thread.sleep for some time and then terminate the browser. Okay, so I'm using a thread.sleep for some time and then I'm terminating the browser. Fine. Fine. The another point what we need to do means let's try to run this script once and see how the script is getting executed. It's gonna launch a Firefox browser, but the browser is launching in a minimized mode. We need to maximize the browser. It entered the yeah and it clicked on a search button and then it terminated the browser too. That's it guys. So this is the way how exactly we can perform a simple search operation using WebDriver. Fine. Done up to here. Fine guys. Once we are done up to here, there is a basic program available in a WebDriver. Prior moving ahead guys, just moving on. So far, if you guys remember, we haven't given much assignments. Okay, we haven't given much assignments whenever we are working on IDE and RC. Moving on to WebDriver, we do have a bulk of assignments for us to practice. Okay, you do have a bulk of assignments which you people need to practice from your end. So starting from WebDriver, we do have a lots of assignments for you people. Okay, so here what exactly you need to do means I'm just sharing the attachments of an okay, I'm just sharing this one which is the assignments documents in our Google Drive folder. Make sure that you people are practicing all the assignments. Okay, make sure that you people are practicing all those assignments without fail. So let me show you that assignments document whatever I have uploaded to your Google Drive folder. So here is an Excel file in our Google Drive. So what I can make it is scripts and running notes. Here is the Google Drive folder. In this scripts and running notes we have this. Okay, in this scripts and running notes folder we have this assignments doc. If you open that assignments documentation, roughly starting from day 1 onwards, you can practice all the assignments. Day 1, day 2, day 3, like that. You can practice all the assignments listed out over here. Okay, done. Once we are done up to here, okay, so once we are done up to here, the another point of what we need to do is you just need to practice all the assignments. Day by day we are just moving on with the scenarios. I'm just updating this documentation. You people need to follow this document and you people need to practice all the bunch of assignments which I'm giving over here. So this will be helpful for you people to understand the concept in a most simplified way. Fine. After that, so here is the script which will launch a browser and perform the operations. We need to write down one command which will maximize the browser. So we haven't written any command to maximize a browser. So here command will maximize the browser. Driver.window or else driver.manage.window maximizer is a command which we are using to maximize the browser. Okay, run as a Java application. It's just getting executed as a Java application. See, it launched the browser, opened the application, it maximized the browser, it entered the values, and then it terminated the browser too. So this is the way how exactly we can perform a basic operations in WebDriver. Okay, so we do have another kind of a scenario where in which I'm just creating another new script, which is a web2, and here again I'm creating an object to WebDriver. Space driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Driver.gets bing.com. I just asked it to open the bing.com application, and after that driver dot the various kinds of operations we can perform is get the current URL. String URL is equal to driver dot get the page source. We can get the page source also is equal to driver dot get title. We can get the title of the web page too. Driver dot get window handle. Get window handle, which will get the single window information. Driver dot get a window handles, which will get all the opened windows information, and those browsers need to launch by our WebDriver instance only. Whatever the browsers launched by our WebDriver instance, for that particular browsers only it will get. I am printing the source, I am printing the URL, I am printing the title. And now after performing these operations, I am just terminating my browser too. Now run the script as a Java application. Just getting executed. See here, this is the page source, this is the page URL, and as well as the title will also be returned to the console. So this is the way how exactly we can perform the operations on a basic driver object. Okay, just a basic driver object. These are all the various operations we can perform using a WebDriver program. Still there are a lot more operations which we can perform, but these two are the basic scenarios. As today is our first class, we just started with these basic